Well, folks, it is time to jump back into this transmission and see if we can get it shifting properly once and for all. Okay, well, I'm underneath the truck. I have to tell you, seeing all this oil everywhere is not something that I'm very happy about. I got that new seal kit for the vacuum pump, and hopefully I can get that sealed up, and I'm going to have to take a real hard look at figuring out how to get this engine to deal with all that boost that I'm throwing at it. Anyways, I've had a little bit of an epiphany about the bands. I was in here recently putting in new valve body electronics, and I considered trying to adjust them, but I just want to do one thing at a time and really try and figure out what's going on here. So we're going to drain this, adjust it, and hope to God that this gets me closer to a properly functioning transmission. Okay, well, draining nicely. It might be a little bit tough to see on camera, but the fluid looks pretty good. Not seeing any much cloudiness or chunks or anything like that. All right, so as this is draining out, I'm going to go over some of the outstanding issues on this truck that possibly could be causing this transmission issue. I'm doing the bands right now, obviously. Another thing I was really hoping for, I know these trucks can have pretty convoluted electrical systems, and I remembered when I first bought this truck, right after I did the tranny rebuild, I was going for a drive with my family. It's a single cab truck. At the time, my daughter was still in a rear facing car seat. And so I spoke with my dad, who's an automotive electrician and mechanic and heavy duty mechanic and all that, just all around knowledgeable guy. And I wanted to disable the airbag. In order to do that, I had to pull out the, I think it was the ABS control module and a couple of fuses or something like that. He went through the schematics on the truck though, and told me what I needed to do. Immediately after that was when I got the truck, the transmission rebuilt and put in there. And I kind of realized the other day, I don't think I ever drove this truck on this valve body with that stuff in there. Was it the airbag control module or the ABS control module? I can't remember. It's a thing on the tranny tunnel. But anyways, I plugged that back in today, put the fuse back in, and no difference whatsoever. So another thing that isn't right about this truck, ever since I've had it, the ABS light has been on. And I can tell you from experience, the rear tires will lock up if you really honk on the brakes. So it's possible that that is included in the issues that I have. Furthermore, my speedometer, I'm not sure if when you re-gear a rear axle, if that brings your speedometer back to being accurate, but for some reason my speedometer has always been surprisingly accurate for a truck that's on 37. So there's a possibility that that needs to get done also. And then the last thing, I really hope this isn't the issue, but this topic has come up so many times now. There is a possibility of it, that maybe my PCM has gone bad. Martin has mentioned that. My wait to start light doesn't work, and I changed the bulbs around, and I know that the bulb in there does work. My grid heater works, but doing some light Googling, people mentioned online that that is a sign that the PCM might be dying. You know, I've also got that electrical issue where it keeps throwing a code and saying that my battery temperature is too high, so that's got to get looked into. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I haven't even started getting into line pressure and that. Actually, speaking of line pressure, this is a compression test kit. This gauge goes up to 300 psi. Can somebody tell me, would this work? Possibly I could extend this hose. I was at Napa the other day and they had a bunch of those grease gun hoses, I think. I've heard online that somebody used that, but does it have to be a gauge specifically designed for liquid, or will one of these work for testing line pressure? I'm pretty sure I've got the attachment to get this down to 8th NPT, which I think is what the port is on the transmission. I'm happy to order a kit online or whatever. I've tried Googling it, but can't really find an answer. And even if I can't extend this hose, I can probably set my GoPro underneath the truck and just sort of film the gauge while I'm driving and going through the motions. Okay, well, I got that pan off of there. I'm pretty happy to announce, as I haven't talked about this too much, but I put one of those third gen dipstick tubes in, which has the boot, which you can kind of see up in there, and it seems to be completely sealed up. That's one problem I've been chasing around for a long time on this truck, is a leaky transmission dipstick tube. One of the bands, pretty sure that's the rear band that I will be adjusting, which is the whole reason for pulling this tranny pan off. And anyways, I'm gonna go find the instructions in the manual, get all my tools ready and stuff, and we'll jump in and do that. All right, folks, this is something I haven't thought about in a while, but it is very possible that I just discovered what's going on here. This torque wrench, it's an inch-pound proto. It actually does not line up that well, so right now it's kind of tough to see, but this barrel here is just past 60, and let me show you when it's 10 back. So now I've brought it back by 10, and as you can see, there's a big gap up to the 60. It is very possible that I had this torque wrench wrong. I went ahead thinking it was like this, but it's very possible that I made this too tight by misreading this torque wrench's poor alignment. Okay, so I'm just doing a little test here. There's a nut on the other side of this tightening the vise. I have got this set to, it's just a hair below 60. Sorry, it's hard to focus. This was the real difficulty in trying to figure it out. So the way I had done it before was I had it further up, and I wouldn't have called this 60, I would have called it 50. Let me show you the other one again. So as you can see, there's the 60. It is just past the mark, but I think that this is actually 70. That was the way that I had it before, so I don't know if that's a big enough difference, but when I tightened it to 72 inch-pounds, I was probably doing it to 82 based on what I'm seeing. So let me just show you the test. Okay, so I backed this off 10 again. As you can see, there's 60, and it's just short of the line. I know it's tough to convey on video, but compared to my other two proto torque wrenches, it seems like really far from the line. So I'll tighten this up until it clicks. Okay, that clicked. Okay, now next up I've got this 1/4 inch bar type inch-pound torque wrench. I just bought this for when I re-geared my axles. I had to confirm the pinion preload by making sure, I think it didn't go over 20 inch-pounds as you were rotating it. So I used one of these, but anyways, I got the adapter there, I got the same 16 mil socket, and then as I go to tighten it, we will watch this, and that goes up to 60, and then it starts spinning. Sorry, we missed it on that side. Okay, we kind of missed it there, so I'll just do that test again. Got the inch-pound, that's 60, and again, it's 10 less than I would have thought. Okay, so I'll just do this again. This time I'll leave it on here. This has been torqued to 60 based on the far line. So we're at 0, I'll read it off. 10, 20, 40, 50, 60, and now it should start spinning. There we go. Just to confirm, I'm actually going to do it against my other torque wrench. I've got 3 of these protos. So this one, as you can see, the 0 is really close to the 10. So that other one goes up to 200 inch-pounds. So I think I was talking to my dad about this. He recommended going to like 15 on this, and I'll times that by 12 to get the number on that, and then we'll try this test again. Okay, well, let's try that again. We've got the inch-pound torque wrench at 180, which translates to 15 foot-pounds. Inch-pounds are just times 12 is 1 kind of thing. So let's give this a try. Okay, so starting with the big one, going to 15 foot-pounds. Okay. Okay, now to confirm that 15 is 180 on this one. Okay, that clicked right away. Okay, now I'm going to perform the same test in reverse. Got the inch-pound, Gonna go to 180. Okay. Okay, and then back to the foot-pound at 15. Okay, seems to be getting the same results both ways. All right, folks, well, let me tell you that is an interesting result. That means every time I've ever used that inch-pound torque wrench, I was off by 10. I'm not sure if I've ever used it other than just for those bands, but you know, it's interesting. I don't know if, I mean, that's less than 1 foot-pound. I don't know if that's enough rotation to affect anything, but one thing that I've actually noticed lately, when I had those air leaks in the fuel system, it was tough, you know, when you first started it, you know, you could tell there was air in the system and everything was just kind of crappy feeling and stuff like that. And when it was cold and I put it into reverse, it really bogged the engine down. And as I got the fuel system dealt with, I've started to realize that might be a sign that a band is too tight. And, you know, once it warms up, I guess the band would expand and I don't have that problem where it bogs it down as much. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to get my hopes up. This has been a real saga, but it would appear that the thing was never adjusted properly. And, you know, let's put her all back together and hope to God that it works. All right, well, that one is adjusted properly for the first time since I've owned this truck. When I first bought it, this truck didn't have a second gear. The band was broken, and I bought that inch-pound torque wrench and tried adjusting them, and you know, like I say, it was broken, so it didn't matter anyways, but that is the first time that's ever been adjusted properly. I used this angle torque gauge, all this contraption. All right, well, if I'm being honest, it didn't go that great. The rear band inside the tranny pan, that one is adjusted perfectly as far as I'm aware. But the front band, I was really trying to use that torque angle gauge to get it just right, and I just could not get the right combination of, I had to neck down from 1/2 inch to 3/8 to 1/4 to use my square drive 5/16 socket, and probably spent about an hour screwing around with it, and in the end I just had to try and do it by eye, which is what I did in the first place. Right now I am going to delete the codes and fire it up and go for a drive and see if there's any difference. Okay, codes are erased. Now let's fire it up and see how she goes. Gotta tell you, I am loving the way this thing starts after getting that fuel system figured out. Still seems to be bogged down quite a bit. All right, well, there is no difference whatsoever. Driving exactly the same. However, I just went for a bit of a drive, let it warm up, and it is definitely low on ATF, so I am going to put some more in there. A couple more things I'll probably try before we wrap this up, but anyways, I'm going to load her up now. All right, well, I got the tranny fluid up to where it should be. No difference, still doing the same thing. Yeah, I mean, there's still lots of things to check. I think next up, just as a quick little experiment, I'm going to pull the spring off of the throttle valve cable down at the valve body there. I'm trying to remember if the one I had on there was just like really sloppy. I just got some generic spring. Maybe the spring's too strong and that's having some sort of effect, so I'm going to pull that off and take her for a rip and see if it changes anything. Okay, well, it's a total long shot. This spring, like I said, I just got at a parts store. There was a random bag of springs. I put a new one on for the throttle return at the P pump because it actually never had one. I definitely would say this is beefier than the spring it used to have. Anyways, let's take her for a run, see if it changes anything. My God, you just cannot make this stuff up. All of a sudden, my issue where it's kind of going into this limp mode or whatever, you know, where it doesn't want to let you downshift to first and stuff, just seems to be gone. It's not shifting properly. You put it in drive and it is definitely not going into first gear. So I guess the problem is not fixed, but I was having a real problem with manual downshifts from 2 to 1. I was always having to go to neutral and then put her down to first, and that spring seems to be having some sort of effect. The transmission's good and warm right now. I'm gonna have to try it when it's cold to really confirm that there's any change at all, but pulling that spring off seems to be about the biggest improvement I've seen in quite a while. Okay, so my old pal Martin had given me a list of things to go through. We definitely didn't get through that list, but I followed his instructions for adjusting the TV cable, and I am going to play around with that a little bit right now. I've had enough time to drive it around since I've done that, and I can say that all the shifts seem to be happening a little bit later than I would like. So right now I'm going to try and play around with that a little bit, see if it makes any difference. It seems like things are getting incrementally better, but I just know so little about this, and you know, we're just going to have to keep picking away. Eventually one of these things is going to work and this thing will shift like a proper transmission. But anyways, I'm going to play with that right now and see if it makes any difference. So one last thing I'm going to try before I wrap this video up. Sorry about the wind noise, man. And all of a sudden it just got super windy right at the end of the day here. But right now I'm going to throw that spring back in and see if that makes any difference. All right, folks, I almost have more questions than answers. It's way better to drive without that spring. The throttle feels a lot crispier. I guess adjusting the bands made a difference because I don't seem to be having that problem where it's doing like a trans brake thing if I go from second to manual first. It's still not shifting properly. You know, everything other than first gear, you know, is shifting, coming and going out of second and drive and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know, super weird. So anyways, that's another day in the books trying to get this figured out. At some point, I might want to start thinking about going to a shop and getting some professionals to have a look at this, but whatever, we're having fun for now. So you guys have a good day. Thanks for coming along. Please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe and ring the bell, and we'll see you on the next one.